Today, I'm going to share with you 7 team basics. These are things that I've used throughout my career to build many high-performance teams. Now, let's be real. Most teams are awful. I get it, but you don't have to stay that way. I've been practicing and studying this topic of teams for decades, and I want to share with you 7 things that great teams do consistently. Number 1, they are crystal clear on roles. And what I mean by this is they know the difference between the leader's role and the team's role. The leader provides vision. The team communicates vision. The leader establishes boundaries and the team works within those boundaries. The leader provides resources. The team manages and improves performance. The team is accountable to each other. And so the best teams have a lot of clarity on who does what. Number 2, the best teams always have clarity regarding their purpose. Why does your team exist? Now, you may think that's obvious. I would encourage you just to pass out 3x5 cards around the table the next time your leadership team assembles and ask that simple question. Why does our team exist? And let everybody write down their answers, hand them in, and read them. And I hope there'll be perfect alignment. But in my experience, there's often confusion. Your team needs to be crystal clear on why they exist. The third thing great teams do is they have a scorecard. What are your key metrics? How do you define a win? How will you determine if you're making progress? How will you decide if you're off track? You need a scorecard, probably with 3 to 5 key and primary metrics. Now, you may track a lot of things. I call those page 2 metrics. But what is that handful of things that your team will monitor and pursue on a daily basis? Next, the best teams have shared goals. I met with a leader one day who was struggling with his team, and somewhere in the conversation, the topic of goals came up. And he said, sure, we have goals. And he said, the marketing person has a goal, and the operations person has a goal, and the human resources person has a goal. And I said, oh, so you're not a team. I thought he was going to kill me. I said, no. It's great to have individual goals, but what are your shared goals? That's actually the moment when a team becomes a team, is when they pursue shared goals. Next, I would say that great teams always have fantastic meetings. Now that may sound like an oxymoron to you, like what, fantastic and meeting in the same sentence? Absolutely. Meetings are where you challenge, you encourage, you train, you problem solve, you build community. There's so many things that you can do in a meeting if they're done well. And that's beyond the scope of this post, but I'll do some separate things on meetings for you later. But how are your meetings? Are they productive? Are they something that you and your team look forward to? And do your meetings drive performance? Well, if they don't, there's another best practice that you need to consider, and that is to solve problems together. How much of that meeting time is dedicated to solving problems? That's actually when a team is at its best, because we bring together all of the diversity, the diverse background and experience and education and passion, and we can actually reach better solutions for our most pressing problems. So let's go back to meetings. How much of your meeting time is dedicated to problem solving? I was with a leader one time in a meeting, and it was basically information sharing. Everybody gave an update on their area, and at the end of the meeting, or at least at the end of that sharing time, the leader said, great, we'll meet again next week. And I asked the leader afterwards, I said, has the team ever tried to solve problems together? And she said, yes, we did that about 6 months ago. I said, how did it go? She said, it was spectacular. I said, well, why are you waiting 6 months to consider another pressing business issue that your team could work on together? And finally, I would say the best teams work diligently to improve their decision making. Now, this seems clunky for a lot of teams, and here's why. Too many teams feel like every decision has to be a consensus decision. That is not true. Consensus decisions are for your most complex, most consequential decisions. But many decisions can be either delegated, they can be a command decision by the leader, they can even be a consultative decision with the leader retaining the decision. But you need to work on the discipline of decision making. When you leave these meetings, do you have clarity on the decision? Even if it's not the final step, but it's the next step. If you'll embrace these ideas, they're simple to say, they're much more difficult to execute. But if you'll practice these team basics, I promise you, your performance will improve.